Namaskar, hello and welcome to this edition of Know the Nobels Forum 2024. And in this forum, today is the solemn day of 10th of December, which is also commemorated as the Nobel Day. It is the Punyatithi, the Smriti Divas of Sir Alfred Nobel, in whose memory, as a outcome of his will, Nobel Prizes are given away in some of the very fundamental pursuits of human endeavor in physiology or medicine, we can say so, physics, chemistry, literature and peace, and then later on, the Nobel Prize. It's basically done by the Swedish National Bank, the Nobel equivalent of the economic sciences. So, the very purpose of the Know the Nobels Forum is to present the insights about the persona and the phenomena of the Nobel Prize for that year. And this year, it has been the sextet has been quite interesting. And in this hour and a half, we would be presenting right from the Nobel Prize website. We'll try to bring to fore the very enigmatic personalities and phenomena which have got qualified for this year's Nobel Prize, which just in 4.5 hours time, the common European time is 4.5 hours behind the Indian Standard Time. So 4 p.m. as for the CET, common European time. So an hour and a half or 2.5 hours, the real Nobel Prizes would be given away in Stockholm. The Nobel Peace Prize has been already presented for the year 2024 from Oslo. So it has been a tradition that 5 of the Nobel Prizes are presented in Stockholm, and the Nobel Peace Prize is presented at Oslo over there. So, coming to this year's uh, Nobel laureates and the phenomena for which they have been qualified for these very coveted recognitions. So we would like to present the Nobel Prize in Physics for the year 2024 has been bestowed upon Sir John J. Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton. Now, interestingly, this year's physics prize and very small annotations have been given. Uh, John J. Hopfield has been given this Nobel Prize for foundational discoveries and inventions that enable machine learning with artificial neural networks. And Geoffrey Hinton has been given this award for foundational discoveries and inventions that enable machine learning with artificial neural networks. So it has been the Nobel tradition that whenever the Nobel researches happen a decade or 2 decades behind, the prizes come at a much later date. This has been a common observance. And and we can see that there is a lot of interdisciplinarity. Uh, though it is a prize in physics, but then it is straddles through the current, the modern phenomenon of artificial intelligence, which everyone is so very passionate about it, and the twin schools of thought that how artificial intelligence, how machine learning is going to affect the humankind. But the Nobel committees who have chosen these two eminent laureates with the Nobel Physics Prize. They say their work has been independent at many a times. The same team comes and gets the awards. At many times, there are parallel works which are happening. At many times, it happens that a work has been, there was a fundamental work at one epoch in time, then the second scientist, he or she took it up to the next level. So it's a kind of a very phenomenal academic partnership which happens as a part of these laureates. So this year, for the first time, Rethink India has been doing these Northern Nobel Forums for quite some years. And we found that for the first time, the Nobel website, it has put all the awards on a single web page for the sake of ease of deciphering it across. And since this forum is largely for the educators at the K-12 level from and even higher education, uh, Nobel Peace Prize also has a very important, a very separate section, which is nobelprize.org/educational. So it contains the educational resources pertaining to all these Nobel winning phenomena, which helps the teachers to take these Nobel phenomena and personalities back into their classroom. So there are crash courses out here, and then they present it from a very young learner's perspective, all the phenomena for the particular year, and they have the worksheets and things like that, which I think our participants can really go back and take it forward. Whatsoever educator you are, just go to that particular domain and just utilize it in your classrooms, because this is where fundamental sciences and fundamental social sciences, Nobels, as we see that they are in medicine, biology, or physiology, as we say, physics, chemistry, these are the three scientific disciplines. And then literature is again all about language, any language we can say so. And then peace, which straddles through the entire social sciences, vertical and social sciences. If we see interdisciplinarity as a part of NEP, it's quite intertwined out there. So geostrategy, we say that geoeconomics, geopolitics, so it all comes together. So all our social scientists from the social sciences can really come together in that. And then economics again is again very applied kind of a science, which people come over there. So let's come back to the main portal, which talks about the phenomena and for an advanced learning on the teacher's perspective. So this resource is for the educators to use it in the classrooms, but for the advanced educators, I think this is where Nobel Committee gives it. And this year's phenomena is like this year's laureates use tools from physics to construct methods that helped lay the foundation for today's powerful machine learning. So all the computer scientists, all the algorithms which are happening at Chat GPT or Gemini, or there is a kind of a mad rush for AI across the Bay Area, the San Francisco, the Silicon Valley, and how people are thinking that AI is going to take over. And the Israeli historian Yuval Noah Harari, who is visiting India, he's so very concerned that AI would really take up the humanities per se. And in India, the directors of eminent institutions like IIT Mandi, they say that come what may, AI, India has the Adhyatmic intelligence as competing to the AI part of it all. So John Hopfield, he created a structure that can store and reconstruct information. We all know in computer science we used first of all the flip flops, and then the VLSI, the chips used to come. So it all started with a physical reality out here. And then Geoffrey Hilton invented a method that can independently discover properties in data, and which has become important for the large artificial networks now in use. Now, in order to cover each of these Nobel Prize winning phenomena, I think there is it would be a session 90-minute long, and perhaps we would be doing it towards the end of this year, explaining each of these phenomena in greater detail, but just as an outline. So, Nobel website, it contains three important documents for reference. One is the press release. I just open it across. This is the press release which announces the whole award. Generally, the Nobel Prizes are
I
announced the
already
1st of October,
talked in the afternoon only.
and
I thought so
physics
decided.
award is given by the
I
Royal
will pick this
Swedish
one.
Academy of
We will
Sciences.
see this
And
one more day.
John
And I
Hopfield
will
comes from
take on
Princeton
the
University, America, and
session.
Geoffrey Hinton, University of Toronto, Canada. So quite a multinational partnership. This we have covered, and they trained artificial neural networks using physics.
Nothing
So,
just
very
being
elaborate in
careful
its brief.
because I'm not
Their
meant to
contribution is
talk
put out
these
here.
things.
They also give a
There are
lot of
people who are recognized,
illustrations
who could see.
to be
I just
presented in
think
the
of
class. So, a
things
lot of
I'm
use
not
it in
with.
our classrooms, and this is
Nothing
the whole
for
purpose
me.
of this Know
But
the
there
Nobels
I
Forum,
observed
to enthuse
someone
this
who told
spirit of higher
that
learning.
I
That
observed
what is
by
physics
a
for? Physics leads to this.
10 I
Whatever
think
AI the students
that
are
just
using
keep an
today,
eye
decades of
when people
research
are
has gone
observing when
through,
we are having
which has
like
created
there is
those very foundational frontiers,
some freedom
which we
who
are all
that is
using it out
perfect
here. So,
becomes
like,
secure.
they have given four
And
lovely
people
illustrations. Let me
think
just
that
present it across.
freedom
So
of
these
others is
illustrations
to
are all these
make a
illustrations
way for
covering
others
that
also
in
they
a Know the
can use
Nobels
that.
Forum for physics, because it's a very
Don't
involved
worry. We will
physical
work on it.
reality out here. So
Together we are going to.
and memories are stored in a landscape.
That
So
is
how
what we
memories are put
will.
out here, it's a very
I'm
lovely.
going to talk to
I
sir,
think it can be
so
presented in
you
the
need to wait
classrooms
for it. Okay?
beautifully. Uh, but
I'm,
today's scope is just to cover
sir is saying
the top
something.
level at a 50,000 feet view. We are just straddling quickly. And then different types of networks. This is what these two Nobel laureates they really presented across. And then what all they also do is they also give popular information, much advanced information about this Nobel phenomena. So this is again a very elaborate document to devour in the Know the Nobels Forum for Physics. We would be covering this whole, I would say, elaborate stuff out there. And then the third document, which they also carry as a part of their releases, is scientific background. This again is a very elaborate, I would say, it's a 14 pages scientific document uh, containing all the theory and thesis which has gone through this Nobel Prize winning phenomena. So I think three levels we can use this content in our classrooms: the press release, the popular information, and the scientific background. I would just come back to the press release because we said that the personalities are so very interesting. What motivated these guys to really study, study, research for decades and decades altogether? And scientific pursuit is an end in itself for them. So, John Hopfield is 1933 born. So, he would be touching his 100 years, like 90 plus. He was born in Chicago and he obtained his PhD in 1958. So, this very aspect, apart from the Nobel Prize winning phenomena, the personalities they carry the magic of the Nobel Prizes, because जीवन भर का जो ग्रिट है, जो संघर्ष है, वह चरमता को प्राप्त होता है आज के दिन 10 दिसंबर 1901 से सतत नोबेल प्राइजेस दिए जा रहे हैं, डिस्पाइट लीविंग असाइड some of the other gaps because of world wars or so. But this 10th December is commemorated across as the highest achievement of human scholarship, we can say so. So, PhD in 1958, and then from Cornell University, Dhaka, and then a professor at Princeton. He's currently out there. So, emeritus till they live, they remain in the academic pursuit. So, this is the power of the fifth estate. This is the power of academia, which really drives the humanity and pushes it to the various frontiers. And John Geoffrey Hinton, he was born in 1947. So, 47, our independence year. So, 75 years plus. He was born in London, then PhD in 1978 from the University of Edinburgh, and then he's currently the professor at University of Toronto, Canada. So for all our participants and those who would be watching later on, it is 11 million Swedish kronors. I think this is a kind of a conversion test we can give it to our students also, how much it converts to, and then 11 million will be shared equally between the two laureates. Nobel Prize is given either to one, two, or maximum three, not more than that. And it is the decision of the Nobel Committee is concerned that how much will go to whom. At times when there are three, one half goes to one, then one third to the other two. So this is what this press release. A lot of information is out there. You can conduct your, if you're a physics educator, you can really conduct this year's physics quiz based on the Nobel Prize phenomena and the personalities for that matter, and craft your own, curate your own, because at the end of the day, as we say from the platform of Rethink India, that national education policy, if it really has to succeed, it has to become an individual educational policy. It has to go to every classroom where every transformational teacher, he will be using the principles and the larger, I would say, the leeway, the elbow room which has been given, multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, whole lot of things, and not just covering the given curriculum, but enthusing the children as to really get hooked on, really get absorbed with the subject what you are dealing with. So this was what for physics. So this year's Nobel Prize, people had a lot of critiques were also talking about. I think we have a chat request. Just a moment. Okay, Indrajit Ratsa. So I will be just bringing you also just quickly. I want to cover up some of the materials out here, very spirited ones. All those who are just joined in live for us. The second Nobel Prize, which is in chemistry. Now this year it has been given to three Nobel laureates, like physics two, and all three of them for protein structure prediction. So David Baker, Demis Hassabis, and John Jumper for protein structure prediction. Now, let's read out the press release because it contains. Uh, so there is a Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences. One half. Now I was saying one half goes to David Baker out of the 11 million kronors, Swedish kronors, and he belongs to the University of Washington, Seattle, and Harvard Hughes Medical Institute, USA. So the award is for chemistry. Just I wanted to draw your attention in this forum. The award is from chemistry, but the laureate serves the Harvard Hughes Medical Institute. So interdisciplinarity is out there in the world. Like physics has led to electronics and computational algorithms, what we are using today.
And I would like to come in here to emphasize the importance of protein. Like the medical institute, what they're saying, protein is such an essential part of the human, structure. If we see from the point of view of genetic coding, hormones, amino acids, everywhere the protein is coming into play. Protein is the structural, you can say, the element which is forming the body in a major way. So computational protein design and protein structure prediction is something which has such a paramount importance in the medical and biological spaces.
Yeah,
And
thank.
just see the interdisciplinarity, that it's a Nobel Prize in chemistry and it is related to protein structure. I
Yeah.
just came in for this.
Lovely, lovely. Now, just see the other two part, the other half of the prize, the 5.5 million Swedish kronors. Now, first time they are going to a deep tech company, Google DeepMind London. So it goes to a IT corporation, big one. So it's a paradigm shift which is now happening from universities to the corporations. So that is worth watching. And so this is for protein structure prediction. We all saw that in the COVID-19 pandemic, it was all about the protein, just to create a vaccine for that. So protein structure, how the virus was all out there, it is all proteins. So this kind of algorithmic structure, algorithmic requirements are out there. It's a prize in chemistry, but there's a lot of computational involved out there. We would be covering this elaborate phenomena. The So it's all about proteins, lives, ingenious chemical tools. Now, David Baker succeeded with the almost impossible feat of building entirely new kinds of proteins. So, synthesizing proteins was something what David Baker he worked on it, and Demis Hassabis and John Jumper they developed an AI model. So AI is not that dangerous as they are talking about it. So from the Google DeepMind London, they solved a 50-year-old problem. So many of the computationally interactable problems, as we computer scientists study, the 50-year-old problem was solved by AI in a jiffy. So they predicted proteins' complex structures. These discoveries hold enormous potential. So AI as a, I would bring in Dr. Surbi out here that AI is going to have a radical impact on medical sciences and medical diagnostics per se, because in medical sciences there is a lot of differential diagnosis based on a radio imagery. So a radiologist goes, and we all know that how much we are dependent on a radiologist interpretation. Over to Dr. Surbi for this predicament
So
of.
absolutely, AI is something, we say it has the really great advantages, and in the sense that you can have these servers, AI in imaging. We can have AI in clinical decision support systems, wherein we are making diagnosis based on protocols, based on sign symptoms. The flow charts, the mind maps, the process flows which are there for diagnosis, treatment, prognosis. So in technical terms, yes, the AI implementation has a lot of role to play. And we can also say that, technology and developments are always, it's how you use them to your advantage. That's the
Lovely, lovely.
start.
So just see, as I was mentioning, that this year's Nobel laureate is, I would say, under 40 years of age. Like,
Mhm.
one is 1962 born David Baker, the 1933 born we saw in physics. But John Jumper was born in 1985 in Little Rock, USA. PhD in 2017, just not even 10 years old PhD. And he's a senior research scientist at Google DeepMind, London. So this is the kind of impact which computational technologies are really bringing to the world of basic sciences. The 50-year-old problem was solved by these two youngsters. Now, 1976 born Demis Hassabis, and his PhD is just 2009. And obviously the Doyen, uh, he synthesized proteins, artificial synthesis. So this phenomena we should really bring out in the classrooms using this material, and that is the whole idea of these Know the Nobel Forum out here. We would be covering the elaborate phenomena as we have been doing earlier. But this time we are doing it post facto, post 10th December. We'll be announcing those dates shortly out there. So interestingly, now coming to the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. So Nobel use these terms interchangeably, physiology or medicine. It again goes to two laureates, Victor Ambrose and Gary Rufkin, and their entire discovery is same for the discovery of microRNA and its role in post-transcriptional gene regulation. So loaded words. So tiny RNAs, mRNA vaccines. Again, controversy is raging, but then it was gene editing was one of the earlier Nobel Prize winning phenomena. So we have now got the capability of editing genes. But where we use it now, again, with these fundamental sciences, again, the complementarity, that is what the genius of Sir Alfred Nobel is all about. It is the human consciousness which puts science and technology to its use and abuse. And as science teaches, I think today is 10th of December, and this year Gita Jayanti is falling on 11th of December. It's perhaps the onus on the optimal use. Like Sir Alfred Nobel says, that the greatest benefit to humankind. He himself was the inventor of dynamite, but dynamite got used in the warfare as well, but then it also creates roads in treacherous terrains. So somewhere or the other, this consciousness grooming, it is not a part of the ethics classes or moral sciences. I think all our scientists, they have to really impregnate that value judgment within our youngsters, that spirit of serving the collective humanity. That is so very, very important. So let's come to the press release again, because this is a treasure trove for it all. So again, as we see that physiology award is given by a different institution, which is Nobel Assembly at Karolinska Institute. And then this press release, it came on 7th of October. That was the day when it was announced, two months before. And so the phenomena we will again discuss again in the Know the Nobels Forum for Physiology. So very elaborate phenomena, whatever they have done it. Coming to the two laureates and their backgrounds, I think we remain more interested in the persona, because persona carries that phenomena, because it is a lifelong pursuit which really brought about that phenomena to the fore of it all. वो कहते ना कि अंधेरे से पहले, प्रकाश से पहले थोड़ा सा अगर छूट गए, तो वो जो यूरेका मोमेंट है, which these laureates could have really delivered it to the world, it would have remained. So that grit, that long pursuit is something which is phenomenal. So Victor Ambrose was born in 1953 in Hanover, New Hampshire, and he received his PhD from MIT, Cambridge in 1979, where he also did his postdoctoral research. Many of the students ask, "Ma'am, ये physics पढ़ने का क्या मतलब है? Ma'am, ये biology क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं हम लोग?" So yes, the professional sides are fine, but then these Nobel laureates, they really inspire that that's what an academic and a research career is all about. I think a significant section of the students are really, if the teachers can really inspire them, because they themselves are lifelong learners. Teachers are somewhat, they are inspirational figures for all the students at large. So, uh, so Victor Ambrose, he became a principal investigator at Harvard University. See the movement from multiple universities which is happening in 1985, and he was the professor at Dartmouth Medical School uh, from 1992 to 2007. And he is now Silverman Professor of Natural Science and Professor of Molecular Medicine at University of Massachusetts Chan Medical School in Worcester, MA. And Gary Rufkin, he was born in Berkeley, California in 1952, almost of the same age. He received his PhD from Harvard University in 1982, and he was a postdoctoral fellow at MIT. So their partnership somewhere. So this is very interesting that how these research partnerships, they get forged in. At times you will see two generations working together. One professor, one student, they join in that research group. Professor had done some fundamental discovery. The students take it further and forward. So this is intergenerational. Then these are friendships like 1982, the same university, we can talk it across. And these press releases and these stories, they are way more interesting than I think some of the detective OTT serials or web series we watch on the OTT platforms. And perhaps if challenge our young learners right from grade 6 onwards, I think one of the best things which I will tell you is if scientific writing has to be done, it has to be learned from the Nobel official website. So beautifully they explain that very abstruse, that very complex, that very multi-decadal phenomena in such a simple fashion, and the illustrations which their illustrators create. This is not something which the laureates have done it in their own scientific notations, but it is the Nobel Institutes who really make that work. So again, you see that he became a principal investigator at Massachusetts General Hospital and Harvard Medical School, where he is now the professor of genetics. So this entire phenomena of mRNA, it's the scope of today's Nobel Forum is just that they discovered microRNA and its role in post transcriptional gene regulation. मैं यहाँ पे एक बात और लाना चाहता हूँ, which we have read in depth and we will be coming in the Nobel's Forum for each subject. कुछ आज people say that in order to understand there is no need of rote learning, but at times we have to learn, we have to memorize the key words, the key terminologies, so as to make meaning out of it. So it's a feedback loop. First you, so if we can just challenge our students that if they can really remember, they can memorize these key terms. What for the Nobel Prize for Medicine came for 2024 for the discovery of microRNA and its role in post-transcriptional gene regulation. And this single, I think it is less than a tweet of the olden era, 180 characters se bhi chota hai. But I think this encapsulates a huge scientific content within. So somewhere or the other, if we can really take it forward as a part of our classrooms, it will do a great service to our scientific question. And since it is a Nobel Prize for Physiology, Medicine, I think it would be incomplete without Dr. Surbi joining in. And yeah.
So, gene regulation is a very important, domain of medical sciences and genetics, where we talk of molecular medicine. So we need to understand what is, gene regulation, the application part of it. And this comes from the very understanding that, gene regulation or genetic manipulation, scope, potential, impact, if we try to understand, lot of therapeutic industries based on genetic, vaccines, there are genetic, regulation, like this diagram is saying, from there are two processes, transcription and translation. So human genome contains 20,000 genes, DNA to mRNA, and then mRNA to protein, So transcription is, of course, the process from where the mRNA messenger RNA is converting the genetic material. From that, the protein is being formed. And then that is acting, in the cell type and resulting in certain processes. So this says if gene regulation goes awry, it can lead to serious diseases such as cancer, diabetes, or autoimmunity. Therefore, understanding the regulation of gene activity has been an important goal for many decades. So, this is the beauty of this microRNA, which is leading to post-transcriptional gene regulation, has immense, impact in the medical science, in the medical sector. This is what I can say from the domain of genetics per se.
So, after the three fundamental sciences, we come to the domain which is loosely called as humanities, or because they juxtapose both each other very beautifully. So, the Nobel Prize in Literature, they say that what is there in literature today? Students are generally they are not so very comfortable with the linguistic part of it all. But anyways, that's a subject matter of a different forum, that how the neuro-linguistic programming it bolsters the imagination, the innovation, how multilingualism help it across. We'll be doing it later on. Tomorrow is again the Bharatiya Bhasha Divas. So this year's Nobel Prize in Literature has gone to Han Kang for her intense poetic prose that confronts historical traumas and exposes the fragility of human life. And this is the fact. She was born on 27th. Uh, just a moment. I will open it in tab. Yeah. So Han Kang, she was born on 27 November in Gwangju, South Korea, the land of Samsung, we all know, and residence at the time of award was Seoul, Korea. So she has not moved on to the US. And prize motivation, we read that historical traumas and exposes the fragility of human life. And I tell you one very interesting part, that a lot of web series which we see on various OTT platforms, South Korea has a very vibrant movie production, because they have got some very original authors and thinkers out there. So the Korean civilization, not the North Korea, but the South Korean part of it all, they have very phenomenal writers for that matter. And she began her career in 1993 as a poet, but has since written mainly novels and short stories. In her oeuvre, she confronts historical traumas and invisible set of rules, and in each of her works exposes the fragility of human life. जीवन की जो क्षण भंगुरता है, as per their own civilizational views and world views. And she has a unique awareness of the connection between body and soul, the living and the dead. And in her poetic and experimental style, has become an innovator in contemporary prose. Among her works are The Vegetarian, Human Acts, and We Do Not Part. For the literature faculty, for the language faculty, there is a respite. We can say that all these AI tools which are coming, if we just go double click it across, they are called as large language models. So one of the biggest challenges, we can say so, or opportunity, we can say so, is that the entire AI has started thinking in human language perspective. They've started reasoning. So literature has got a lot of application in the technological world per se. We can link the computational side of language. Computational linguistics is a very, very profound subject, and the baseline of the LLM based content, and then we add upon, I would say, the literary appreciation, which we say, which we say that the literary criticism we used to have. So that is where, if the literature faculty, language faculty, if they can join hands with their computational faculty for that matter, and bring in AI into the language classrooms, and the spell bees of the word, the phraseology, हिंदी में है तो अलंकार की बातें हम कर रहे हैं, and multilingualism. Can you find patterns? There is one semantic framework. Now, can you translate it across to the various languages? What is your multilinguistic index? I think these are the areas where language can have an applied, and the fun part of it all across. We all talk in, not in 0 and 1, we all talk in lovely language. And earlier, all the IQ tests, they used to test the vocabulary. So we have to really kind of create of a movement. And literature is, I think, a body of knowledge onto which the linguistic appreciation, both vocal, spoken, and the written one, it can be based out of. Moving forward, so now the very interesting and the most, I would say, the controversial part of it all, the Nobel Peace Prize, it has already been given in Oslo, Norway, and it has been given to Nihon Hidankyo for its efforts to achieve a world free of nuclear weapons, and for demonstrating through witness testimony that nuclear weapons must never be used again. So, Nihon Hidankyo, so it's a powerful international norm which stigmatizes nuclear weapons. And this became all the more pertinent. And for all our viewers, Nobel committees in their press releases, they have a very elaborate videos also. If you go to each one of them, so we would like to read upon. So Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award Nobel Peace Prize to the Japanese organization Nihon Hidankyo. We can all say, oh, 1945, it was Hiroshima. So many years later, but the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which we are witnessing right away, it's a new Cold World War, we can say so. America has been pouring in. Let's see how it all translates after 20th January with the inauguration of the 47th president. So this grassroots movement of atomic bomb survivors from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, also known as Heba Kusha, it's a juxtaposition of both, is receiving the Peace Prize for its efforts to achieve a world free of nuclear weapons, and for demonstrating through witness testimony that nuclear weapons must never be used again. So Nobel committees, they also give a political statement to the whole world. When Barack Obama was elected as the US president, US, we all know that around 5th of November, their elections happen, and the same night the voting results come. And so Nobel Committee had given this award to Barack Obama before he was sworn in as the US president, because they wanted to make a statement over there. So somewhere or the other, they are thinking that the world is on the precipice of perhaps a nuclear disaster. So they tried to highlight this great initiative of Nihon Hidankyo. And in response to the atomic bomb attacks of August 1945, a global movement we all know arose, whose members have worked tirelessly to raise awareness about the catastrophic humanitarian consequences of using nuclear weapons. After the Fukushima meltdown in the Japanese tsunami, even the peace use of nuclear reactors, it started getting concerns over there. So a powerful international norm has developed, stigmatizing the use of nuclear weapons as morally unacceptable. And this norm has become known as the nuclear taboo. And the testimony of Hibakusha, the survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, is unique in this larger context. In the Indian context, we just went through the 4th December, the Bhopal gas tragedy. Some OTT web series has also come through. We can have that kind of a comparative chart for our students. Oh, the railwayman, I think that's the title of it all. That how the chemical, it was an industrial disaster, but the nuclear weapons. So witness testimony, we can see that how in disasters they are used. So this Peace Prize is a convergence of all the social sciences disciplines. the witness testimony, it brings in law. Perhaps the faculty of civics can bring it across. And interestingly, 10th of December is also commemorated as the UN Human Rights Day. There are 30 odd articles. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it's commemorated the world over on 10th of December itself. So somewhere this entire agitation, this entire norm, the nuclear taboo, like we all said that there were conspiracy theories that COVID-19 was a biological warfare. So I think our social sciences faculty, they have to come together. If they are teaching the Roman empires, the ancient times, the medieval times, the modern times, they can all exchange notes. Geography, social scientists, they can come together with historians as to how history got shaped because of geography. So the silos have to be removed somewhere or the other. And Nobel Peace Prize is something which gives a storyline. Maybe a week you celebrate as a Nobel week. The Nobel committees, they celebrate 6th to 12th December every year as a Nobel week for that matter. So the testimony of the Hibakusha, the survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, is unique in this larger context. So it is based on the testimony out here. So these historical witnesses, they have helped to generate and consolidate widespread opposition to nuclear weapons around the world by drawing on personal stories, creating educational campaigns based on their own experiences, and issuing urgent warnings against the spread and use of nuclear weapons. So people's movement, the whole spirit is, it was a people's movement. The survivors are fine, but then they did not take it as a victim. They rose back again, they fought it back, and now they have been given this uh, coveted title of, I would say, the Nobel Peace Prize for the year 2024. We will be covering this entire in the Know the Nobels Forum for Peace later on. And then finally, the sixth, the Sveriges Riksbank Prize. The Swedish National Bank, it instituted this prize in economic sciences, because economics is something which we are all concerned about it. The macroeconomics, the 4 or 5 macros which keep on coming in the larger public discourse these days, or GDP growth 5.4% in the last quarter. Now, these are some of the terms which I feel you don't need to be a postdoctoral fellow in economics. I think the economics teachers, for that matter, they can bring these macros. They can create a kind of a chart to a student's economics 101, and right from 6th grade itself, because domestic economics, घर का budget, it all starts from there. मेरी pocket money है, तो how will I save it across? Some kind of a financial learning, some kind of applied aspects, I think it can be provided across. Coming back to our core, 3 Nobel laureates, and for their studies on how institutions are formed and affect prosperity. So very abstract, for studies on how institutions are formed and affect prosperity. So they provided an explanation for why some countries are rich and some poor. We all know about Wealth of the Nations of Adam Smith, which talked about division of labor. I think from that 1700s uh, origins of modern economics, we have come a long, long, long way. So let's read out quickly the press release. So MIT, and University of Chicago. So affiliations are very important. Like India is on the verge of reclaiming her status as a global higher education destination, where we again start embarking upon. But America, it has rose in these 250 years because of her academic prowess. Because on the fundamental plane of academics, we all talk about that we have to become a $5 trillion economy, but education is the encumbrance for economic development. That remains the foundational logic. So uh, Darren Ekumologu, Simon Johnson, and James Robinson, they have demonstrated the importance of societal institutions for a country's prosperity. Societies with a poor rule of law and institutions that exploit the population do not generate growth or change for the better. So democracy, somewhere or the other, the strengthening of the institutions and the laureates' research helps us understand why. And today is quite solemn occasion, our RBI governor has stepped down after half a decade of very illustrious service. So, how RBI as an institution, we all keep on following the monetary policy, the repo rate, the reverse repo rate. So, these kind of phenomena, I think, as a layperson's understanding, economics 101, if we can link these Nobel researches in our classrooms with the subject matter, so it creates a kind of a popular interest. And then that is the whole purpose of education at a primary, secondary, and I would say higher secondary level, where we have a fundamental appreciation of what's going around us. And scoring is one part, but then appreciating these great phenomena. So just quickly, because it's quite interesting that when Europeans colonized large parts of the globes, the institutions in those societies changed. This was sometimes dramatic, but did not occur in the same way everywhere. So, for the first time, perhaps some Western scholars have admitted to the adverse impact of colonization. Dadabhai Nehruji was the one Indian scholar and parliamentarian who talked about the drain of wealth, for that matter. In some places, the aim was to exploit the indigenous population and extract resources for the colonizers' benefit, the way they did it in India. We were impoverished. Our global GDP contribution was to the tune of 24% or so. But then at the time of independence, we had fallen way, way, way low. And in others, the colonizers formed inclusive political and economic systems for the long-term benefits of European migrants. So I think this year's economic prizes touched upon politics in a big way. Economics is not that an exact science because a lot of it depends on the political choices over there. That's why the term political economy comes into fore. I think the Nobel's Forum on Economic Sciences for 2024 would be really very, very interesting because this is where they have put it across. And I would just like to read the quote that reducing the vast differences in income between countries is one of our time's greatest challenges. We are the inter-country, the international disparity, which we are seeing that America is $20 trillion economy, India is touching upon trying three plus, China is 12, 13, 14. That is the level. And then currency vacillations, dollar de-dollarization. We just read the tweet that the president-elect threatened the BRICS to go for their own currency. So I think these are some of the very interesting parts of it. So the laureates have demonstrated the importance of societal institutions for achieving this. Society as an instrument. We all are conversant about the state, the official state, the constitutional republics and its agencies. Then the markets, the corporates, the PSUs. India has a five-layered marketplace for that matter. Stock market is just one part of it all. Bullion market, currency market, every market. Then societal institutions. That is so very important. In India, thankfully, our indigenous thinkers, they have envisioned for societal institutions. So this is a very important part. Just quickly, I would just say, Daron Ekmogli was born in Istanbul, Turkey. Turkey is an arch rival for US interests. They have a very fundamentalist kind of a government there. But then he did his PhD from London School of Economics and Political Sciences and professor at MIT, Simon Johnson, 1963, Sheffield, UK, MIT. Then he's a professor at MIT. So now just see that MIT, which is the technological bandwagon, it has produced laureates in the field of economic sciences. So technology has really taken that fundamental baseline where all, even these disciplines which were earlier of humanities, they have taken over. And then James Robinson, 1993, Yale, and professor at University of Chicago. So here you see just what I mentioned, that it is equal. This sharing is equal. So these are some of the trivias which I think our educators can really put it across. Now I would like to just put it on an open forum, maybe quite comments. This was just a orientation, insights into the Nobel phenomena and personalities. And I would like to invite Indrajit Thorat, Diksha Jagga ma'am and Bulu Rabha who have joined us. If they really want to come in, comment upon, they have questions as to what all we should cover in the elaborate 90 minuters for each of the Nobel phenomena, where we will be really going in depth. And at Rethink India, what we believe is, first principles studying and then disseminating. That's what happens in higher education all across. That first principles, para by para, reading, understanding, deliberating. So that style helps a lot. And depending on the fundamental material, first principle source, that creates that credibility, that creates that learning over there. So I invite everyone, if you have any comments, questions, anything over there. So we just wanted to keep it short, sweet, just to commemorate the Nobel laureates. Indrajit Horat sir has joined in. Please, sir. Yeah,
Hello, sir.
you have to unmute.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, I was listening, and then it was so inspiring and motivational, to listen to all these great people, and then uh, talking about each and every person, sir. You have really motivated us because these personalities, they are like library, each and every person, and we need a lot of time to understand their research work. And basically, you emphasized on how we will have to inculcate all these things into the classroom teaching. That's really very important. So we will keep in mind, and in fact, if there is a recording available of this session, I would like to give it to my students during their classes, so that they will have detailed idea about each and every Nobel Prize winner, laureates, and what exactly they have done. So thank you very much for this fantastic and much needed session. And so you were telling that you're going to have this 90-minute session for
For each one
in
of them,
future
yeah.
as
We have been doing it for every year. So earlier we used to do it in the first week of December before the awards. But this year we had just something. So maybe next to next week in the 16 to 21 December, we will just announce it formally. So every award, so that elaborate understanding of each phenomena, how it came from, the story behind it, we can just discuss. And if more and more students can join in, nothing like that. So
yeah, yeah.
Very
We would
interesting.
definitely
Please
would
carry on.
like to be part of it.
sure,
No,
sure,
no.
sure.
This is something which this is out of the box because generally we listen to the different kind of talk. But each Nobel laureate, let's say in physics, what they have exactly done is all my students of grade 9, 10, 11, 12, if they listen to that talk, they will definitely get motivation. And anyhow, we would like to inculcate those research aptitude among the students. And for that, this session will definitely help. We are in, sir. Thank you very much,
Thank
ma'am
you,
and sir.
thank you, thank you.
Lovely, sir.
Dr. Sulbhi?
So I would like to say, a very interesting point that the Nobel educators, the community which they are creating, they're studying this point that these Nobel achievements should be discussed among students and educators both. And where they say that these Nobel laureates have emanated from some point or some experience in their life when they have been challenged by their teachers. So this is where the role of educators, the teachers comes in challenging, in kindling the curiosity, imagination of the students, letting them go out of the box, as you said very rightly, out of box thinking, and multidisciplinary, co-relational logic, where they're relating what we're studying, say H2O in biology and H2O in chemistry and H2 water in physics. So the various processes, so this is where, the entire inspiration comes into play.
So that's where somewhere we are also curating a community of spirit of noble nurturing teachers, whereby it's an octet of facets which we try to bring that awareness, and we say that attuning the students to the aspirational academic footprints and creative characteristics of the Nobel laureates committed to extend greatest benefit to the mankind. So that is something which will be carrying it further and forward. Attributes to the Nobel laureates for the year 2024, the spirit of Sir Alfred Nobel, who really thought of really instituting, using his wealth, immaculate wealth, for the greatest benefit of mankind, to really further and forward the pursuit of scientific excellence and the excellence in the human factors. And as we can see that science is being backed again, it's a double helical structure. biology, physics, and chemistry has been backed up by peace, by literature, and by economic sciences. I think that is the kind of compact which the Nobel nurturing teachers largely, and our NEP is like a Nobel educational program, we can say, so that our NEP principles, which whatever are out there, so Rethink India would keep on hammering and hammering, small tickling we will be trying to do to bring about a great work which is happening. But then we really have to become a Vishwa Guru all over again, not just on the emotional sentimentalism or I would say superficial chatter plane, but on very, very fundamental planes. I think a lot of will be clear in our elaborate sessions. We'll be closing it across. So thank you so much for joining in. We would be back with the six Know the Nobel forums for each of the Nobel verticals. Stay tuned. Namaskar.